We're recording. All right. Hello. Welcome to episode 378 of the Self-Help Podcast with me, Ed Lamb, and my good pal, Sean Orford. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm very good. Just come back from a few days away in a shepherd's hut in Hereford, which was...
I saw a photo, on our Instagram. It looked very pleasant. Was it nice?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Didn't get blown away, did it?
The wind was bizarre sometimes, in the night. I was thinking of, is it Wizard of Oz, where they take off and she goes to wherever Ozland is. It was feeling like that. I was thinking like, woo! Very, very high winds. Yeah.
I was thinking of you, but it stayed strapped down, did it? It didn't blow away.
No, we're okay. So when did you get back?
We got back, well, it's Thursday today, apparently. We got back Sunday night from Northumberland after 2 weeks. And my body clock and my sense of time is just all over the shop. It sort of normally is at this time of year as we're kind of thinking about going back to school and summer halls are over. But more so than ever, it's been, 5-6 months of strange times around the world. And I must apologize to regular listeners because last week I put the show out on the Friday. It usually goes out Thursday morning for new listeners. But you texted me on the Thursday saying, the show's not online. And I remembered, it's Thursday. And the same happened. The same's happened this week because we're recording this Thursday morning this one's going out next week. But there should be a show online right now, a new one, which we've recorded already. Yeah. And last night I was just oblivious. I usually do it on a Wednesday night. So I apologize. Yeah, it's just my head's all over the place.
What do you think people did before we had calendars and weeks and because every day was a day. We didn't have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was like
I know,
just a day.
Well, it would be interesting if we could travel back in time. I guess they probably didn't podcast much for a start. But was that simpler way of life easier or harder, or who knows? I know I was watching the news last night, and I'm always got my ear out for like stuff with an environmental slant, and it was about the harvest. The harvest this year for wheat in the UK has been the worst ever, or the worst in 40-50 years. And like this is 40% down and stuff like that. And we did notice actually when we were in Northumberland, the wheat, there's quite a few fields near us where we go walking and stuff where the wheat is often grown, and it was looking a little bit pathetic, a bit measly this year. So maybe thousands of years ago, that's what people stressed about. They didn't stress about whether the podcast was online. They stressed about the oncoming, the hardship that we'll be going through the winter, which is what we're talking about today, handily enough, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's a very real thing, what you're talking about. How did people live and survive in the past? And they would have had an awareness of seasons, I guess, because they would have to get the crops in and get crops planted and all that kind of stuff. We've been mollycoddled. We can just wander down the supermarket anytime we want and get anything. And the world doesn't really work like that.
It doesn't, no. And I guess we're in for a bit of a shock this winter in particular, not just because of like farming issues. I'm sure we'll get through that, and apparently we're just going to import more this year than we normally do. But we're a bit, as a species, we're not very resilient, and perhaps we're less resilient now than we ever have been. And it's going to be a bit of a strange winter, this one, isn't it? In terms of the party's over for the virus, and I know it's been a hard time for a lot of people already. But at least 6-7 million people have been getting paid on the furlough scheme in the UK, more than that at times. The sun's been out. You've been able to go out and enjoy a bit of warmth. We don't want to start this off on a too gloomy a note, but winter is coming, isn't it?
But that's the point, really, isn't it? Because winter is quite a depressed time for lots of people, and that my big fear, the reason why I was thinking about this, is more and more of the people I'm working with are going on to antidepressants. And whether they go on citalopram or sertraline or fluoxetine, all that kind of stuff, they have different kinds of effects on your system. But people's serotonin levels are dropping, and they're dropping because they're depressed, because they haven't been doing things, they haven't been moving their bodies, they've become stationary and sedentary, and it's like people are just got that kind of about them. And people can't go on holiday. People have gone on holiday, have had problems when they come back. And we're going from that into winter when the clocks go back, and I get a massive depression. Once the clocks go back, I get people starting to queue outside the door. Well, it's already starting, and we haven't got to that point yet. So I have a lot of fears for us in the winter if we don't do something about it. And there are things that we can do. That's the point, really. You know.
Well, I mean, we do this time of year. We do tend to record this episode every year. You know, so we've done one about summer holes, which came out a couple of weeks ago, and then we tend to lead on into thinking about the autumn. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this is going to be autumn, winter on steroids, isn't it? With I mean, life. Yeah. We were away for 2 weeks in Northumberland, and even being back now, life is sort of back to normal in some ways. You know, the traffic's there, people are moving around. There's, the restaurants are full at the moment because of the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, but at the same time, it's the same, but it's different, isn't it? Because it's not just about the masks and having to wear a mask indoors. Which most people have got used to, I think. There's just a bit of an air, even though the level of the virus is quite low in the UK now, and it seems to have stabilised. Fair play. There's just something different about the world, isn't there? And there was a BBC article or a report yesterday that they'd surveyed a load of businesses, and out of the 50 that they spoke to, all of them basically were saying we're not going to be sending our employees back to the office, immediately or anytime soon. And half of them said they had no plans at all, in the pipeline to start sending people back to work in the office. So people are going to be working from home a year or two, perhaps forever, given that technology has taken over a little bit. So that has big knock-on effects for how towns and cities operate, doesn't it, in terms of sandwich shops that rely on the trade, lunchtime trade. It has big knock-on effects for public transport operators that are used to ferrying a lot of people in and out of towns and cities every day, which I have a big interest in. So I think we're only just starting to understand what all this means for us, aren't we?
Yeah. And I think that it's going to be much deeper than people realise. That the effects on us emotionally and psychologically are going to change the way that we're working, interacting, we're traveling, all kinds of things. They've started opening up cruise ships again, I notice. And I guess if you've got an asset like a cruise ship lying around, which must be worth millions, you have a high level of motivation to get it working again. But I wonder whether things like the cruise industry will die over these next couple of years. All the doctors I'm talking to are saying to me that we should be looking at this as in we won't get an active vaccine working properly until towards the end of next year, really. So like October, November 21, which means that that's going to affect a lot of people. So you're saying about people going back into offices. If people aren't going back into offices because of the virus, but then they realize that they don't actually need the office anyway. What happens to our city centres? Do they all get repopulated with people again, as they used to be? And we turn the offices into apartments.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm still working at home quite happily, to be honest. We have moved into a new office, which we were planning to just before lockdown happened, really, but that was put back a bit. I've been paying for our other office the whole way through, and it's not much, thankfully, because we split it 4 ways. But yeah, I'll be quite comfortable, and I think I do want to go back to the office if only just to kind of break the monotony of working from home. Especially, I worked from home for 4 or 5 years, and the winter months aren't that much fun. It's different now that I've got kids, so I would be going out and doing the school drop off and all that. But there were, there were times in the winter when we had the apartment where I wouldn't leave the house for 3, 4, 5 days, and I'd just be waiting for Bethan to come back from school where she works. Even for chirpy Ed, it does get a bit much, that.
Yeah. I think that it goes back to that thing of we are troop animals. We're like hairless chimpanzees, naked apes. And it's like we need other people to interact with to feel normal. It's the way we're built.
Yeah, so we talk usually this time of year again about there are chemical and scientific reasons why we all start to feel a little bit down in the winter months. Do you want to talk a little bit about SAD and serotonin and all that kind of
stuff? Well, it's quite a simple process, really. Is that the sunlight creates vitamin D in your skin, which then transfers from the brain's point of view into serotonin, and the serotonin is the well-being chemical. So you take antidepressants when your serotonin is low. When the sun goes away, or we don't go out in the sun, both things can be the case. Serotonin levels drop, people get depressed, and then they get antidepressants, so like citalopram, fluoxetine, sertraline, any of those kinds of things are designed that they enhance your levels of serotonin. So places like the Middle East, if I was in Doha still, they have as high levels of vitamin D deficiency as we have here, because no one goes out in the sun. And when they do go out in the sun, they are covered from head to foot to be protected from it. So they don't get the benefits of the sunlight.
Wow.
So they get very high levels of depression in the Middle East, just like we do here.
They get it in opposite time of year. So they go out a bit more in the winter inverted commas, because it's a bit safer to be out in the sun then. But in the summer, they're just locked away all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. But what we know is, and these are the two things that click together. I've said it loads of times on here, but it's worth saying again, is that when you have low serotonin in your brain, your system craves carbohydrates. So you eat the carbohydrates, which makes your brain secrete serotonin. So that people in the winter tend to eat more kind of stodgy food, spotted dick and custard and all that kind of stuff. Which feeds that part. There's a need for that, the stodgy stuff. What's happening at the moment is because people aren't going out and getting the sun, because people are becoming couch potato-ish, a lot of people. And if people are not doing any exercise to get their system going to create some endorphins in the brain, then you end up in a situation where you've effectively got SAD syndrome in the middle of the summer. Which then means you crave carbs. So more and more people have been putting on more and more weight because they are not moving. They're not even going to work. It's not even the exercise of getting up and getting on the train or something. And at the same time, they're eating carbs, sitting watching telly, whatever, doing less, getting bigger. So depression.
Yeah, it's crazy times, isn't it? We're gonna go over with a few little tips and tricks that should be doing at this time of year anyway, or thinking about ramping up anyway, but especially this time round. There's a really cool article I'm going to link to, everydayhealth.com, ways to fight off the winter blues. And it starts with the point number 1 is behave like you're from Minnesota. I was like, oh, what's that? That kind of pricked my interest straight away. So yeah, there was the writer talks about a winter they had in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it snowed pretty much from end of October all the way through to start of May, and people were just, shut away. But what he or she, I can't remember who wrote it actually. Oh, Teresa, I think it is. She remembers is that you just had to run with it. You just had to enjoy the elements that were sent to her. Obviously, with trying to remember that snow and ice can kill you if you don't respect it. But
Mm.
you know, enjoy the icicles on your car, and, have some fun. Go ice fishing. She got into that kind of thing. She really embraced the colder weather. So it's just, yeah, it's easier said than done for a lot of the times, even for me.
Yeah,
But getting out and about and appreciating the darkness, if you can, is should be high up on your list.
yeah. If you're moving your body, which is what your body was designed to do, to move, not only do you keep all your joints and your tendons supple and moving, and you have a potential to build muscle on that, but it has an effect on your brain. It's like if you raise your heart rate, if you go for a walk for 20 minutes, half an hour, walk as fast as you can. You know, do the power walking bit, you know, for a while, get your heart rate up, because we know that if you get your heart rate up for about 20 minutes, then your brain will start to secrete positive endorphins that make you feel good. You know, and you can do that on the coldest, nastiest day of the year. Go for a walk, you know, and it's that thing about, we never have the wrong weather, we just have the wrong clothes. You know, put the right clothes on and go out and do it. Don't look out the window and go, oh, I can't go out there, look at the state of that. You know, get off your butt and go and do it. That's what will make you feel better.
Well, yeah, in advance of school starting next week, we'll have one of his mates round for a little play session a couple of nights ago, a couple of afternoons ago. And the weather was horrendous. Like, so he was dropped off and he kind of chucked in the house, and they had loads of fun. And then it was time for me to take him home. And the weather was pretty vile, actually. It was wet and windy. So I was going to drive him back, even though it's, you know, it's not far away he lives. So I thought, I don't want to get him wet. I don't want him to show up being wet. But we were walking down to the car, and the Will's pal said, I want to walk. So I said, are you sure? And he went, yeah. So I had two other kids with me as well. So it was three little lads and me. Zipped up and just set off in the howling wind and rain. It was brilliant. You know, it was cool. You know, we got there in one piece. It was fine, and no trees fell on us, thankfully. And same, yeah, we ran back with the wind behind us, and it was great fun.
Yeah. Or you could have all sat in the car and maybe not even spoken to each other, and got to the other end, bye, and then driven back again. And what would that have done for your body? You've just gone from sitting down in the house to sitting down in the car to back in the house again, you know. And it's like, unless we actually move our bodies like they were intended to do. And I mean, that's one of the things that I am picking up from people that are working from home. People are tending to work longer hours, not because they have to, but they used to go into work, leaving at 7 o'clock to start at 9. And people that kind of like about 7:30, they're kind of going online and doing their work. And then they can work right through, sometimes even missing lunchtime, through till the evening, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. And it's like they are sat down all the time. And one of the magic things about these watches is they tell you to get up and move your body. You know, every hour, get up, walk around, move, do stuff. Yeah, really, really important. Okay?
Yeah. The second point on the list of the blog post I'm reading was wear bright colours. Which is, just use colour to liven up your day and your mood as well, I assume.
Yeah. Well, we know that bright colours like reds and yellows have a very invigorating effect on your system, whereas things like blues and indigos calm your system down. So if you go into a room that was all red walls and red curtains and maybe even a red light, your heart rate goes up. Which is why the color red is related to danger, because it means move, do something, whereas blue is calm. It's authority, it's relaxed. If you go into a hospital, it's all kind of pastel colors. But yes, having some bright colors around you can really stimulate you. I'm not suggesting you live in a kind of a mad bright place, but having some dominant colors, like maybe some flowers or some pictures that give you strong that strong sense of colour do affect you psychologically and emotionally and physiologically.
Yeah, I've got an auntie Sue, who I love dearly, and even as kids, we would always go around to their house, see my cousins and hang out. And they've always had really brightly coloured rooms, and whenever they've redecorated, it's always been quite vibrant blues and reds and yellows. And even to this day, when we're thinking about decorating or buying something, an ornament for the house or something, the phrase I will use is, "Oh, it's a bit Auntie Sue." Yeah, I prefer kind of more muted colours, but yeah, fair play, man. Maybe there will be something in it in terms of the energy you get from the colour of your room and your setup.
Yeah. But it's having in hospitals you use calm pastel colours because you want to settle people's systems down, their respiration, their heart rate. You want them to be calm, so you don't use any strong colours. One of the things that I see in some modern architecture is people are using things like very dark blues or very dark green colours, which I think over time will actually bring people's mood down. It's too heavy, it's too much. You need some lightness in there. But it'd be interesting to see.
Is the colour of your, for those that are watching on YouTube, the recording of this, is the colour of your little study there deliberate? The magnolia wall, the pastel wall?
Yeah, it's all magnolia-y, so it is deliberately pastel. So it has a calmness in here. And if you go into rooms that are very bright colours, it's hard to relax because you're stimulated and your system's aroused.
See, we mentioned vitamin D before. Do you take vitamin D supplements through the general, or do you take in more winter, autumn time?
I have a regime which comes from my Ayurvedic days. So I take every day. I do turmeric, ginger, and black pepper, which is it's great for your joints, it's anti-inflammatory, it's all that kind of stuff. And then I do the vitamin thing. So I make sure I've got a full hit of vits, and I try to kind of eat a fairly healthy diet. But I know that if you let your vitamin D levels drop too low, then you start to get depressed. So I make sure that I don't do that. I don't want to be depressed. I was depressed when I was a kid. Don't want to do that again. And I'm forever saying to people, go and get your vitamin D checked. All the GPs around here hate me because it's like, no, it's not another person come along for a vitamin D check. But virtually everybody that has a vitamin D check is vitamin D deficient. And our levels of depression in the winter, our SAD syndrome stuff, is unnecessary. We don't need to have as many people down in the winter as we do because people don't check their systems and make sure that they have enough vitamin D in their system.
Are there any physical signs that we can, instead of going to the doctor and getting an actual test, is there anything you can look out for, or is it just you've got to keep an eye out for your mood?
Well, vitamin D is mood, but also things like the fatigue issues that come with low mood. So when you're feeling like you can't, and you can't be bothered to get up and do anything, that depressive issue that's setting in very often starts with vitamin D. And it depends, because sometimes we get a reactive depression, like an event has happened and it's hit us hard and we have a depressive response to it. That's real. But a lot of depression is physiological, as in it's to do with sunlight and it's to do with the fact that we're not eating the right diets to maintain the vitamin D and all that kind of stuff. So vitamin D supplements do end up being the answer for lots of people.
Well, we talked last week about food and kind of diet. I know you're starting on it. Have you already started? Actually, you're 800?
No, it'll be another week yet, and then I'm going to do the 800.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're going to hit the pubs and the good food. But I mean, so part of the enjoyment of winter is kind of comforting food. So how do we strike that balance of kind of enjoying comfort food through the winter without overdoing it, or is it just got to keep an eye on it?
Make sure you exercise. Your body is a bank account. If you put more in than you take out, then the balance gets higher, and then you get interest on the balance, so that you start to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas if you take out more than you put in, then the balance in the bank starts to drop down. Yeah, and your body is exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that it could be that, I know people that do very physical work, and they eat the most phenomenal amount of calories, and you think, oh my god, and it's like, but they're like a stick, because they're burning those calories off. The problem is when we develop the habit of eating lots and lots of calories, but then we don't burn them off. And that's what's happening at the moment. And every time I'm out and I'm running and doing stuff, and I see big people running, because a lot of big people are out there starting to run, and I think, well done, how amazing. Just keep going, keep going. There's a guy who's been walking around here for the last 2 years, and he's an older lad, but but he 2 years ago he was big, right? And I've watched him as he's deliberately exercised every day. I've never spoken to him, I just watched him, and he's very deliberate when he's walking, and I've watched him get smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's taken him about 2 years to probably halve his body weight, I would think.
Wow.
But he's done really, really well. And I think, wow, isn't that amazing? People moving their bodies. But we are hunter-gatherers. We're designed to be in motion. And so we spend our time sat down. Our bodies don't need that. They don't want it. We need to get off our butts and get moving.
Yeah, there's a chap local to me. He started up a YouTube channel. He started posting it on the little local Facebook group. Keep an eye on it. And he's trying to lose 100 pounds in a year. So I'm not sure. He's a big guy. So 100 pounds, what's that? 6-7 stone, something like that, a bit more maybe.
Yeah.
So I might. He's promoting all this stuff on a channel. So I might drop him a line at some point and see if he wants to come on the show.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
You should grab that guy off the street one morning and say, "Hey, come on in here and just come hop on the podcast for 10 minutes."
Yeah. But it's fabulous when you see people actually starting to deal with it. And it can be a struggle. If you're carrying a lot of weight, then you have to build the muscle to burn the fat. So, and sometimes you have to do some simple kind of weightlifting and stuff like that to get your muscles enough so you can use your muscles to burn the fat. And if you watch people running and they're heavy, you can see that it's a bit like, sometimes, because it's the knees and the ankles that hurt, and hips, because that's where the weight bearing is. But it's fabulous to see it happening. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I want to speak to this guy and see what his fitness regime is, and how much it is to do with diet and how much it is with exercise. And obviously, I want to talk to him, see if he's keen on getting on a bike at some point. But are bikes designed for certain weights of people, or is there a certain size where this guy's a big guy? So I wonder. I don't want to embarrass him or anything, but I wonder if there's a point where there are bicycles built for bigger people, because that cycling and swimming is really good because it's kind of low impact, isn't it, on your knees and on your joints?
Yeah. The thing about bike riding is that it's great for cardiovascular, and you can burn fat for cardiovascular. The problem with cycling exclusively as an exercise regime is that it doesn't get your bone density up. And there was some research that was showing that it was cricket actually that got your bones most dense, and it was because of twisting, and it worked all your ligaments and everything. It was the best exercise. Dancing is good, but if you just exclusively cycle, as you get older, your bones are getting more like honeycomb.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got good muscles and good heart, but your bones aren't right. So it's balancing the bike riding, which is vital, with doing some bone loading exercise, which is either doing a bit of running in between or doing a bit of aerobics or something to load your bones.
Yeah, some brisk walks. All right, interesting. There's a couple of other things, and I mean, just I'll put the blog post in as a resource, but it talks about enjoying the autumn and the winter months and getting cozy by the fire when you can, but balancing that with vitamin D, and it talks about sun lamps as well. Have you got a sun lamp or?
No, never needed one, but I've known loads and loads of people that have used them. And sometimes it's a box which has got the daylight bulbs in. But you can get daylight bulbs if you go to an embroidery shop or a painting shop, because they want the perfect lighting to get the colours balanced.
Oh, wow.
So you can get them fairly easily. But that spectrum of light is really good for your brain.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll link to it in the show notes. But have you got a resource, Sean?
Well, my resource is, if you haven't been moving your body, then go and download the Couch to 5K app. Yeah, it's something like 9 weeks where they try and get you to be able to run 5K. But it doesn't matter if you repeat the weeks several times. It might take you 6 months to get to that. It's not that. It's move your body. And because you got someone in your ears who's saying to you, come on now, let's do a bit more here. It's encouraging. And it is a brilliant app. And that's one of the things that you see, because they get you to run and walk. So you kind of trot a bit and then you kind of walk for a while. And as I watch people with their headphones on, and there they are walking along, and suddenly it's like, and then off they go running, and then they stop for a bit and they're walking and it's good because it's getting your heart to go up and down, building your heart strength, building your muscles to burn the fat.
Yeah. Couch to 5K, it's good one. That. All right, and I'll link to the Everyday Health article because it was a good little read. That.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go and edit the podcast so there's one to go online straight away. This one's going out next week before I forget.
All right.
I might set a reminder so next week I don't forget. Otherwise, it's going to be a long old winter, isn't it?
It is. Come on, Ed.
All right, Sean. Well, I'll let you go now, and you have a good week away, huh?
Okay, I will do. And I will see you in a week's time. Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy. All righty. Take it easy, everyone.
You take care. See ya.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.